Good afternoon, high power flyers. I am Carl Bauman, Vice President of R&D and Facilities at AeroTech. And today I'm going to demonstrate the assembly of a 29 180 motor using a H165 reload. There's going to be more to this story as I go through the assembly, and I'll let you know at that time. So primarily you want to open your kit, take a look at your instructions, make sure all your parts are there, the O-rings are all there, your forward and aft insulators. For motors using a seal disc, we will cover those with a later video. So you want to make sure this is a 3-grain motor, so we've got our 3 grains, we have our nozzle, we have our casing, closures. We have CRDK kit handy, and it also comes with instructions which you should review. And so basically what I like to do is just start with the O-rings, pre-grease all the O-rings and set them aside. Then I'll use a little acetone and clean my fingers off so I don't get grease all over everything. Then you want to make sure that your grains fit the liner. These do, but if you come across some that don't, you can peel the outer white layer off to make them fit. Same thing applies to the liner itself. If it doesn't fit the casing, like this one's kind of having to struggle, so what I would do is essentially take the grains out, catch my thumbnail under the white paper, and essentially pull the paper and glassine layer off the liner. And you want to make sure that you get that all off, because if you leave a spot that's stuck on there, it may stick you in there. Make sure it fits. There, that fits fine. Okay, now that I've peeled the liner off and made sure that it does fit the casing, and then the grains fit the ID of the liner, and like I said before, you can peel that first layer off if these don't fit properly. It's better to peel it off and have it float freely than to get it stuck in your motor. The next thing I will do, typically I would take the delay column, then I would place the delay spacer into the insulator. You can take your thumbnail, kind of open this up, makes it a lot easier. Also push your insulator in that same end. That fits good, make sure that they're snug there. Take your delay O-ring, your forward delay spacer, and place into the closure. They should have a snug fit. Seat it, and then you can set it aside. Next, I'm going to assemble the liner and the propellant into the casing. So what I like to do is lightly grease the threads. This helps this assembly after firing. I usually just apply it to the liner, or not the liner, but the casing itself. Place the propellant stick inside. Usually you start with the delay end, which is the forward end of the motor. I place the insulator. And here's where the trick begins. Always use the larger 3/32 O-ring on the forward end of the motor. This is the end pointing up. Having said that, I'll screw in the closure. I'll place in the second insulator. Place the nozzle. Using the 1/16 O-ring, this goes at the nozzle. Always at the nozzle. If not, this is the result. 99.9% of the time, if you have a burn through at the nozzle end of a 29 millimeter motor, and that goes from the 60, the 100, the 120, 180, through the 240, and even the 360. Catches people all the time. I get calls from people that are quote unquote level 3 flyers claiming they assembled it correctly. But I tell them upon disassembly, look what O-rings you have on either end. And I will tell you 100% of the time they've switched the forward and aft O-ring. Then go ahead and seat the closure. Make sure it's snug. Take some acetone or another greaseless solvent. Clean the top of your motor off. Take your black powder. And again, this is something you need to pay attention to. Don't just dump it in there, but put a little in. Make sure it gets into that port. A lot of times if you just throw it in there, it will jam up and it will not touch the propellant, and the black powder will not be ignited. I've installed the black powder, and make sure that when you put the powder in the powder well of the forward closure, that it sits slightly below the rim. Otherwise it'll come out and it'll cause your sticker not to stick, as you can see from this one. Place the cap on the top. If it seems a little loose to you, you can take the 1/2 inch masking tape and run a ring around the closure itself, and then crimp it over kind of like a shotgun crimp, and that'll definitely retain the powder into the powder well. So basically, prior to taking your rocket to the field, obviously most launch sites require the igniter not to be present in the motor prior to setting your rocket up on the pad. But for our purposes here, we're going to show that you simply place the igniter in the motor, push it all the way forward. You can pull it back just a little bit. That kind of helps sometimes. Bend it over, secure it with masking tape, because one thing you don't want to have happen is have it ignite, and initial startup blows the igniter out, and it also blows the motor out, and you have to start over again. Once you're out there, go ahead and cut a couple of vents in the cap plug and place it on the nozzle to retain it. Or like I said, you can use tape also, but you can also use a cap plug. Sometimes it's easier for tape. Some of these cap plugs are pretty tight, but I'll leave that part up to you, whether you want to use tape or the cap plug. At this point, now you're ready to have a nice cert level 1 or just a small H-flight without this occurring.